Louie C The MaYor checking in. What is going on, my people? Listen, I told y'all we out of the movie. Unfortunately, we have moved over to episodes on Netflix with the category 6 of what's going on. We still far away, and right now we are on episode 2. Thank y'all. FloridaKeysInjury.com. Anybody getting in any type of accident, will be a moped, bicycle, or car, FloridaKeysInjury.com. Them boys are local. 302 Southern. They're going to take care of you. Not a problem whatsoever. And Dr. Burrows, Dr. B, backed up by Dr. Pucci and Dr. Truax at Advanced Urgent Care, Key West Marathon, and Key Largo. First thing I need y'all to do as we get this thing started, because it's going to be for real today on the show, I need y'all to hit notifications. Right here, there's a button to notify when we on. Number 1, and number 2, those of y'all watching on YouTube, hit the subscribe button, and we're going to make some things happen for y'all, and like that, you don't miss any show. So this is one of my favorite all-time people in the world. This man, he taught me how to keep it blood raw. You know how I say blood raw? He taught me when I was a kid. This is an honor to have Tony Yaniz on the show. Mr. Commissioner, I don't give a damn what they talk about. I don't care what they say about you. All right, in my book, how you doing? How's everything? How's the family?
I'm doing good, Louis. I'm sorry to hear that your energy level's kind of low. I mean,
I'm not turned up.
Yeah, I mean, blood. Usually you're 10 times that, but yeah. I appreciate it because I'm old and you want to keep me calm. But keeping me calm can be a problem too. But thank you for having me on here, brother, and I'm glad to be a part of this. And I thank you on behalf of the community. It's putting information out there. I've always been a big fan of transparency and having education for our citizens. Nice. Yep.
So people out here, we're watching worldwide. So some people, you world famous, but there's still some people out here that don't know anything about you. So we want to give them a little brief history.
¿Cómo están, mi amigos? That's for the people in Costa Rica.
Cuba.
Yeah, and Cuba.
Chicky watching. You never know.
Cuba. Somebody's watching in Cuba. But what you want? Just a little background?
Yeah, just a little bit. Key West, your background.
Yeah, I mean, I came to Key West in 1970. I've had family here since 1871. Didn't know it. Went from Cuba to Miami. Went to high school in Miami. Came down to Key West. And play high school football, actually, and fell in love.
Oh, okay.
Came here in 1970 and moved right in, and it's been history ever since. And I love it because right away people were saying, "Oh yeah, I used to fish with your father, I fished with your grandfather." It come to pass that my grandfather used to come here from Sao Grande, Cuba, to fish for turtles. So it was like a long way home. But spent 4 years on the city commission, but been a community activist probably for 45 or 50.
Nice. Well, thank you for that intro. Like I said, hit notifications right over here. And for those of y'all watching on YouTube, make sure you subscribe to the channel. Fast, if you do me a favor on this phone here, just go ahead and get in your phone there on your passcode so we can get tight over here. So we got a lot of things going on the program today. So we're going to get, me and you, we function on meats and potatoes. We've been doing this a long time.
And the meat of the coconut.
And listen, Fats, you think I don't hold back. Fats is the king and I hold him back. He's serious dude. So first of all and foremost, how's the family? Everybody's okay? Everybody's healthy?
Everybody's good. Everybody's healthy. Everybody's doing the best they can through this quarantine thing and trying to support the community. But everybody's good, Louis.
Okay, good. Nice. Okay, so in your opinion, can you tell me how we doing from your side on what you're looking at for the state of the city? How we doing?
I think that historically we were always able to take care of ourselves because of our isolation. And I think that fact really was a big plus for us when we shut down US 1 and we're able to control this pandemic. However, I understand there's 2 or 3 sides at least to this issue. And there's the issue of health. People are concerned, especially for their loved ones, if they're elderly, etc. But there's also the issue of the economy. How long can you just stay shut and expect people to pay mortgages and put food on the table? That's a big concern. And the third one, Louis, is that human beings are social animals. That's what tribes and groups and countries. That's a social trait. We tend to want to be with each other, and so you go to a bar, you're 6 feet apart, you have a cocktail, then you have a second cocktail, by the third cocktail you're sitting in each other's laps. It's human nature, and that's what's hard to fight.
You ain't lying.
Yeah, it's hard to fight. So I think that we've gone back and forth, things to do, things are closed, things are open. Quite frankly, for my 2 cents worth, I think both Monroe County Mayor Haley Carruthers and City Mayor Terry Johnson have done an outstanding job. I don't envy the people on the city commission right now. It's a very, very tough time to be an elected official.
Well, me and you, we've been in the category 5 before, crisis, but this is what I call category 6. This is unprecedented, no manuals, you don't get no jump start, you just go as you go along, day by day, second by second. Tomorrow you wake up, it could be a whole different story worldwide. It's crazy.
Yeah, people say, this too shall pass, and I get it, but when you look at the Spanish flu, the influenza, it started in 1917, and it really didn't end until 1921. So, yeah, I passed. Right. And now when you talk about it, you say it real quick, it looks like, same thing with polio. Jonas Salk researched the polio vaccine for 25 years. So, will this pass? Will we go back to normal? Yeah. Do I think that's going to be in 3 months or 6 months? Unfortunately, not.
Yeah. So there's not going to be any vaccine today, tomorrow, next month, or a year from now. It don't look good.
No, it don't look good, because the reality of it is, once you create a vaccine and you believe that vaccine works, then you have to go out and you have to have groups and control groups and inject them with the vaccine to see if it works. So it's not just a matter of producing the product. And I know that there's a lot of companies trying real hard to bring one to the market. But I don't see anything happen probably till next spring, next summer.
And we taking all questions today, because we're going to get to the meats and potatoes of what's going on. And we're going to be talking cruise ships here in a second. If you got any type of questions whatsoever, go ahead and come in on the podcast. We're going to make it happen. Like I tell y'all, we don't have a problem. We have to learn how to agree to disagree, number one. But we don't allow no foolishness or personal attacks or whatever. We get you right off all social media platforms. And if you go one step beyond that, we block you. But it's been all good, all love. We don't care what opinion you have, as long as it's respectful. That's how we operate over here. Sure. So there's a lot of confusion out there, and I want to make sure we get to the point, because you can't really interpret a lot of stuff on social media, because you say one thing, it comes out in 7 different ways or whatever. Here, when you're talking, that's why people need to engage with each other, especially our young people. Instead of being on the phone all day, talk to people. You'll get along better, and you'll communicate better on issues. So the first question I got for you, like I said, a lot of confusion on cruise ships going on. Are you the person that started this movement to get rid of cruise ships in the Keys? Let's be clear.
No. And just for the record, I am not a card-carrying member of SAFER. I'm not a card-carrying member of Reimagine. I'm also not a the pro cruise ships. Right. I've been a community activist all my life. And if I remember correctly, and I did some thinking on this. If I remember correctly, the first post that I put on Facebook about the cruise ship issue was a question. And it was, I think, basically, and I'm paraphrasing here, something to the effect of, do you think that Key West can eat without the cruise ships? It's a real basic question. And that, boy, I'll tell you what, that really took off. And then as it got more pro and con, it became more opinionated on all sides. But actually, and then, the Haskell boys, Arlo and Evan and Jolly Benson, called me and said, hey, we were thinking, we got something we're putting together, blah, blah, blah. But I said, I want to try to be the voice of compromise, the reason. Let's see if banning the cruise ships, listen, and this is nirvana. If we all could go back to 1971 and have no cruise ships here, I had an apartment for $35 a month. $35. We rode bicycles with bent rims. The streets were all shot. So nostalgia is a beautiful thing, but it means you only remember the good stuff. So I understand. I embrace the tourism. That is a lifeblood. That's a decision Key West made in the 1930s when Julius Stone came down with the FDR deal to put people to work. They built the aquarium and stuff like that, and they said this would be a great place for tourism. So I wanted to. When I talked to the Haskell boys, and when I talked to Harry Bethel, and I talked to people, I said I want to be the voice of, let's sit at a table. And by the way, Louie, and I told you this, I sent an email to every member of that commission, mayor and all of the commissioners, saying, this is going to blow up. We need to sit down. There is an urgent need for every stakeholder to be given the opportunity to have a chair at the table. Because if you don't do that in a small community, then you become so polarized that, if I voted for this time and you were against it and we didn't talk, next time you're going to be opposite me, etc. It just creates a horrible polarization. Now, no disrespect, nobody in the commission answered the call at that time. And actually nobody from the pro cruise ship side really said anything.
So let me just get this right.
So the answer is no.
Okay. So when you when this thing started, I'm hearing you say, and correct me if I'm wrong, is you try to bring both sides to the table and come up with ideas and figure out where everybody was at and kind of get a plan together, but you didn't get any cooperation. Is that?
No, that's correct. That's correct.
Did I miss anything?
You didn't miss anything at all.
Okay. So we got some people coming in here. Let's see. We got Isabel says hi, Louie and Tony. Tangela, what's up, girl? Thank you all for coming in. Any questions you guys got, make sure you come on in and we're going to address them and make sure, like I said, we get to the meats and potatoes. Go ahead.
I just wanted to say, because this cruise ship thing really, it bears a lot of conversation, a lot of dialogue, and I really don't want to cut it off short. We went out and I asked the city for statistics about the cruise ships, and they gave me some. Evan Haskell and his brother went out and got some facts from the county for the 2018, because that's the last time they have a full set of facts on cruise ships. And again, my goal was to create a middle ground where we can clean it up a little bit. Mallory Square only gets 9% of the passengers. People don't know that. Mallory Square, we're going to lose Mallory Square. The Outer Mole gets about 24%, and the rest, 60-some%, come from Pier B. But I thought, this is a way to share ideas. This is one universal. I think I'll stand for this till the day I die. I truly believe that the large majority of the residents of this island want to see some change in the way we welcome cruise ships.
Okay.
Not necessarily ban them, not necessarily leave them as the rest. But then that's why I wanted to have people come and sit and talk about it. I will say there were some people that reached out, but by the time they did, this ball was rolling. By the time that the Haskell boys had the referenda done, I think a lot of people lost desire. We did have a great Zoom meeting with some community leaders, including Danny Hughes. We asked him if he could bring somebody from the cruise ship industry to speak on the cruise ship industry's behalf. That never materialized. And here's the reality. We had 2 million tourists in 2018. 1 million came from cruise ships. They contributed 8% to the economic pie. Then we had the other million that brought in $1 billion, or 92% to the economic pie. You have to take a long, hard look and say, well, who do you want to sleep with? If that makes sense. There's some things out there people don't know. The Outer Mole disembarkation, the Outer Mole, real quick, they pay $10. HTA takes $5, the Navy takes $3.75, the city gets $1.25. And disembarkation fees, by federal law, can only be used to offset the impact of the infrastructure caused by the ships and its passengers. 3.1 million. So hypothetically, no ships, no impact, no need for the 3.1. And in fact, the city sent their statistics that all but 91,000, I believe, 91,000 was used for direct costs involving the ship, and even that other 91 needs to be indirect costs. So I just want to put that on the table.
No, I appreciate that, and no problem. This is a very serious topic, and it requires serious discussion.
Sure.
So bottom line is, to me, in my opinion, 2020 election is the most critical election of our lifetime, especially what we're going through now, locally, nationwide. So just to be clear, a lot of people talk big, they don't do big. They said, okay, I'm going to vote for you. Some of them don't even go to the ballot box at all. So I've been challenged by the supervised election to get 85%. And as you know, I work hard to get them people to come out that never voted in their life. So my question is, so some people have no idea, this is their first time hearing what's going on. Can you break down the 3 referendums that are on the ballot, exactly what they say?
Sure, and I'm going to try to quote, but I may paraphrase a little bit. So there's 3 referenda. The first one basically says you cannot have more than 1,350 passengers off a ship per day.
So no more than 30, okay.
The second one says, if I interpret it correctly, the second one says you cannot have more than 1,550 people come off a ship, period. That's to include the crew members. And the third one says that the city will give preferential treatment to those ships that are more environmentally correct or environmentally friendly. Those in essence are the 3 referenda. Now, I've heard that as a rumor, I can't confirm or deny, of course, but I'm sure you can, that there has been 2 cruise ship companies that have come down and spoken to city manager, talked to the mayor, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. So perhaps, I guess they realize the situation is dire. I have no doubt, in 2013, we fought to put the study to the vote. And I think it was 75% or something like that against widening, even studying to widen the channel. And so I think that this will go, I think this vote will go 60%. But I'm kind of disappointed that we could not have more input from all sides before the referenda went to the signatures. Go ahead.
Let's take a
Sure.
quick comment. I got Denise in the building, Denise Lane, doing production today. Thank you for working on the production. So I see we got a quick comment here by Mr. Pete checking in from New York City. DJ DOS, go ahead and you want to read that, Miss Denise?
All right. Pete says, as I've said before, I discovered the Keys because it was a cruise stop. Returned there many, many times. If it wouldn't be for that cruise stop, I would have never thought about going to the Keys.
And we hear this often, so what's your opinion?
You hear it anecdotally, but I've asked for statistics from all sides. Nobody can give me actual statistics, but I think that's 2%, 3%. Look, you get on a cruise ship and you get let's be liberal here. You pay $250 for a 3-2 to the Bahamas, Key West, Bahamas, Miami. And that's expensive. You can get it for less than that. So you got a $200 cruise, 3 days that includes breakfast, lunch, and dinner. Okay, you come to Key West, you fall in love with Key West. We all do. We all did. But then you come back and you call the Comfort Inn and you go, hey, yeah, I want to rent a room. How much a night? And they go, $275. A lot of people may want to come back, but I got to tell you, statistics from my personal experience of 30 years in the hospitality industry, 30 in the hotel business, and 20 in the bar business. Yes, I have met people that have come back, but I think that is a very, very small minority. And again, I advocate for continuing to have cruise ships.
So let's be clear, you're not saying that you want the cruise ships never ever to come in the history of us living to the Keys. That's not what you're saying.
As somebody who loves Key West, and remember I've done a lot with Cuba, so to me we're both. For someone who loves Key West, in my heart, if I could have a perfect universe and we didn't need the money, I'd be happy if I never saw a cruise ship again as long as I live. But I realize the economic impact. So again, I think my drive is to find a happy medium. My drive is to have people come here in cruise ships that will actually, listen, the average cruise ship passenger, as per the statistics the county gave us, spends $32. $32.
Now, what I'm hearing you say, and I like this, is that basically there are some people who say they don't give a damn at all. They don't want any cruise ship at all, period. And a lot of our people, let's be clear.
Sure.
A lot of conks don't want any cruise ships at all. And like you said, they wanted to be back like it's 1930. Unfortunately, that was a time that'll never be again because basically the world discovered Key West, Florida. So we love it when you go point A to point B back in the day, or you ride down the Keys and you've seen 7 cars. Unfortunately, we can't go back to that. Right. But what I'm hearing you say is that you understand the situation, you being in the service industry a long time, what people are going through now, that that is not reality, that you can't just, shut down tourism 100%, and you got to work with people. So you're workable to some type of compromise, but you didn't get any type of input from anybody, so this is how this got on the referendum.
I got input from the anti-cruise ship people right away.
Right.
I didn't get any from the pro side, but let's first of all separate the two. I am not advocating in any way, shape, or form that we stop tourism. I thought I opened with that. It is our lifeblood. We're fortunate it's not factories. We're fortunate it's not oil, petroleum. So I am pro-tourism. I got to tell you a quick story. We went down about 4 or 5 days after the quarantine started. My wife and I went bicycling down Duval Street, and I almost hit a dog that was sleeping on Duval. And she goes, that's strange. And I said, no, in the early 70s, you had to go around them all the time because they slept on Duval Street. Yeah,
wow.
Duval Street was
what a great story.
But again, I think we need tourism. Regarding the cruise ship situation, I think that less cruise ship passengers means more upscale people that will spend more money And somebody said to me, "Well, are you not disenfranchising poor people?" No, but I mean, somebody told me they were going to sue me because I was infringing on people's civil rights, because if we didn't have the cheap cruise ships, then the people of color and minorities were not going to be able to come to Key West. And I said, great, when you're done with that case, would you represent me? Because I'm suing Ferrari. Where is my Ferrari? I can't afford one. I'm Cuban, I'm a minority. So the point I'm making is, look, the only type of discrimination to me that's valid, because we are a capitalist country, amen, is discrimination by income. I can't have a Ferrari. Have you been? How did you like Paris when you went?
I haven't gone yet.
Oh, right. Yeah. See, that's the whole point. So it's not, but it's been shown in other places when you change your venue for the ships, when you bring more upscale ships, people will actually buy dinner downtown. They will go to you replace the t-shirt shops and the $50 draft beer with jewelry stores and perfume stores and art galleries. It just upscales the entire community. And I'll tell you, in my 30 years working at the resort, I know people that will no longer come because there are 5, 6, 8, 9,000 people on Front and Duval.
And let's be clear. I mean, you've been with the Spotswood family forever.
Yep.
These are the patriarch of tourism. I mean, they built this town to help one of the founding fathers. Yeah. And what I'm liking once again hearing you say is, like, to me, I have to study the information, but I'm for tourism across the board. All day, because I'm in the entertainment business, and also I understand the other side. So what I say is, you have two sides, one all the way to the right, one all the way to the left, somewhere.
I'm in the middle.
Yeah, somewhere in the middle.
Yeah.
So basically, I wouldn't have a problem. And if we're gonna be one human family, like we talk about doing, well, they start acting like it, because if we sit at the table, we could at least agree to disagree, and then we could go from there. But we didn't get to sit at the table for whatever reason.
Yeah.
And now here we are, which we know. Like, let me tell y'all something. And we're the greatest bringing votes out. It's going to be very tough for the referendum not to pass. Correct me if I'm wrong. To open the channel for a study was overwhelmingly supported by the community by 70%.
Yeah. A good friend of mine told me this is going to be Muhammad Ali and Sonny Liston.
Yes, it's
Muhammad Ali. I think it'll pass by more than 60%. But just let me throw one quick statistic.
Then we'll take a question after.
Yeah, because of the numbers. Yeah. Okay, so Miami-Dade County, right, gets 2 cruise ship passengers per citizen, per resident, right? Statistically,
right.
Once a year, for every 2 people that live in Dade County, you have one cruise ship passenger. In Key West, for every cruise ship passenger, you have 16 passengers for every resident.
So 16 to 1.
16 to 1
right.
versus 2 to 1. And that's the problem. The problem is we can't spread them out. The problem is we not have a big enough port to spread them. Go ahead, you have a question.
Do you know a gentleman named good old Mikey Story?
Yeah.
Okay, Mikey Story, Miss Denise is on there. Can we take his question?
Yep. So we have, when the ships come in, Ed Swift and the t-shirt shops make the money. The local businesses don't really profit. They stay downtown and bring sickness from other countries and spread it around our island.
Blood raw at the end of the day.
They should all be tested before offloading. Thoughts?
Tony, I got an answer, but you go ahead.
Yeah, I listen. Ed Swift, a friend of mine. Ed Swift is a businessman. Ed Swift pulled himself up by the bootstrap. They had a camera shop, him and his father in Marathon. He came down, him and his partners. So he's a businessman. Does he make money? This is capitalism. I'm not opposed to that. But here's an amazing statistic. In March, out of 121 cruise ships entering U.S. waters, 116 had passengers and crew infected with the COVID virus. That's an amazing statistic. Now, and here's the thing. Look at the cruise ship's history. Norovirus, Legionnaires of the Seas, SARS, et cetera, et cetera. So by definition, you have that many human bodies in tight space, you're going to generate flus and colds and stuff like that. So do they bring a lot of problems? Absolutely. Furthermore, the environmental issue. The Carnival Cruise Ships line has been, and I'm pulling it out of the air here, but they've been fined close to $100 million in the last 5-7 years because they don't care. They just go out and dump it right past the reef. They dump it and they don't care because they just pay the fine. So I mean, that's the kind of thing they burn. They also burn the lowest grade of diesel fuel. Even though they pay for it, they suck our water coming down from there. There's a lot of situations where if you upscale to a smaller ship, that's more environmentally correct because their clients want an environmentally correct ship. You have people coming into town, you have people that are environmentally sensitive, you have a smaller ship, which is going to mean less bodies with less opportunities to transmit the virus. So somebody said to me, why did you call them a floating toilet bowl one day? I said, because they are. I mean, these big cruise ships with 3,000, 4,000, 5,000 passengers, 121 ships entered U.S. waters in March, and 116 had people with the COVID virus. That's terrifying. And by the way, one of them was here in March with people that had the COVID virus. So,
Tony, we're going to take some more questions,
Sure.
But I have a question now. With the referendum, the items on there, right? If this passes, would this only apply to the city property? It's not going to apply next door, like for example, over at the old, the Margaritaville, in that area there, because is this referendum only what the city could control? And like I said, I'm not going to comment fully because I don't have all the information. I'm pro tourism, so I'm trying to educate myself before I know which way I stand, if I agree with what's being on the table or if I don't. So my question is, what I've heard, that's the first question I asked you, does it apply next door? And number two, with the cruise ships coming into town, how do you think if we continue to have them coming out the way they have been with no change at all, how's that going to affect us in the long run, both economically and with the health crisis that we got?
That's a lot of questions, but let me say this. Let's get to what ships. In my humble opinion, I'm not an attorney, so as you know, but in my humble opinion, I think that if once this referendum passes, if it passes, I think it will. The immediate result to be Mallory Square. Right. Mallory Square, city owned, but remember, 9% of the passengers came through Mallory Square. And to be quite frank with you, had I known that, I would have said a long time ago, why don't we just put them somewhere else? Because there's the big concern about staying overnight. Now, when we're talking about upgrading your passengers that come here, if they were staying in Margaritaville or at the Outer Mall, who cares if they stayed overnight?
And does it affect next door? Is what I'm. Does that
wait. But what that does is when passengers stay the night, then they go out and have dinner. Then they go out and rent a moped for a longer time, etc. Because they're here for a long time. That doesn't happen in Mallory Square. So the Outer Mall, it's leased by the city, and I believe they have a couple years left on that. And when we almost lost the lease, I wasn't the commissioner at that time, when we almost lost the lease for the cruise ships, I went to Washington, I talked to some people up there. Thank God we got to keep the lease going. But the Navy sent a letter saying, if you don't want the lease, we'll give it to somebody else. Do I think that will happen? No. But that's my opinion. Let's get to the meat and potatoes of your question, which was Margaritaville. Look, Margaritaville is a private entity. They do bring 60-some% of the passengers, so it's the biggest one. Their ships right now are still 3,000, 4,000, 5,000 passengers, which is very, very, very big. I don't want to get into the minutia of the legalities because, again, I'm hearing things from both sides. But I will tell you that, yes, that the Margaritaville owns the dock and they also have riparian rights underwater. However, from the other side comes this information. The city of Key West holds rights to the first 600 feet from the dock. And so there's the rub. How is that going to come out? I don't know. One side is saying the city could enforce it. The other side is saying no, they can't, because it's private property, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. So I don't know that. Now, let me finish the back part of the question. Do I believe that the cruise ship visits are going to stay as they are? No. Okay. I think there will be some change. I think what keeps me up at night is that this referendum is already rolling. It's going to pass. And then once it passes, it becomes the law. And so what do you do then? Do you get in a legal battle with the city, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera? Gotcha. And so that's the bigger issue. But do I think we're going that the status quo is going to remain? No. Okay. Most people want some change.
And I think that we are headed for change all around. I mean, the future definitely changes all the time. And like I said, we got to come to a common ground. So did I hear you say that you're okay with overnight stays?
Look, the issue has always been Mallory Square, because I get it. Sunset is part of who we are and part of our tradition. But if you leave Mallory Square, regardless how the vote comes out, regardless how things pan out at the end of the cookie crumbles, as they say, if you don't have a cruise ship at Mallory Square, or you have one at Mallory, let's say the referendum loses, and at least before sunset, why can't you have ships at the outer mole? And of course, there's the easiest one because they're not blocking anything. Now, Margaritaville is going to have to choose. Do you want to have the cruise ship there overnight? Now these people get off of the shit, spend F&B dollars at their hotel and at other places in town. But by the same token, now you're going to have some of your rooms looking at a cruise ship. That's a decision that the Margaritaville is going to have to make. Am I for, other than blocking sunset, am I for overnight stays? Absolutely. Those are the passengers that bring the money.
If I had a referendum that I put forward based on what you just said, I would say, man, I'll be happy as pie if you gave me cruise ships and they mandatory had to be overnight stays. I'll take that all day without blinking an eye, because they get to come out late night entertainment.
Sure.
And they hear longer periods of time.
Sure.
So I'm pretty sure everybody can agree to that, unless the people that don't want the cruise ships at all, any which way, shape, form, or fashion. But I always said, man, I wish we could get some more cruise ships that will be overnight.
Sure.
And why have we not?
You know,
you being up there in the city.
You know, when the widening issue came up, I went to a meeting they had at the beachside with a lot of people pro cruise ship people. I was being brave that day, and pro widening, I should say. It was a chamber meeting. So what does that tell you? My darling dear friend Miss Panico, and they had the experts were honchos, which are actually big shots in the cruise ship industries, and they made all their points and brought all this thing. And I stood up and I just asked one question, and the question was, why do you only bring us the bottom of the barrel? Again, I have nothing against poor people. I am poor, and I've been very poor. But why don't you bring? And they said, because people are not interested in Key West for other than, walking on the wall, having a beer, buying a T-shirt. And I said, oh, excuse me. I mean, we have the largest historical architecture district in the United States. We have been visited by more presidents than any other small town in the United States. We have a plethora of poets, writers, singers, musicians, entertainers that come down here regularly.
Conch Republic, baby.
Thank you. We have our history. We were a Union outpost during the Civil War. Piracy, then we were a Union outpost, and then the Spanish-American War, and then the Cubans came over and they rolled the cigars, and then they went to Tampa and the wreckers came. And the spongers came, and
we could be 3 hours on this talk about the history of Key West.
No, I don't want to do that. Here's the other thing. My sister's very, very well traveled, and she came down a couple of years ago and she said, you know what? For an 8 square mile island, which is what Key West is, there's nowhere that I've been in the world that has better dining. So why don't you have a history? Visit Tennessee Williams' house, go to dinner at the zoo or Louie's backyard. Better watch Tavern in Town, La Trattoria. Why don't we
eat some Spanish limes?
Look here, you and I are marketing guys. We're marketing guys, okay? What I told the cruise ship guys was, you're not marketing Key West correctly. You're marketing it to the draft beer and $3 T-shirt. It's how you wrap it. It's how you wrap that gift.
Tony, let me let you know what's going on. As you know, news over here in the Keys travels fast, so these people are off the chamber right now. Not the chamber car, off the chamber right now. So Miss Denise, go ahead and just come in with these questions, because I like to get, if you already want to spend a little time, we want to get to these people. We answer any questions that y'all got. So any questions or statement, Denise, you go ahead.
Yeah, so we've got Jose saying there were tourists before the cruises, and even though the economy prospers, Key West will prosper without them. Okay. We've got Jason Perez saying no cruise ships. And Jose saying, I agree with the gentleman that if they spend so few dollars, you don't need the cruise ships to overrun Duval Street. Don't need them, and make Key West for that spend more needed tourist dollars.
Let me just say this. So I want to be clear. My position is, and me and you talked about this. I function on when you go, Jose, you're from Miami in the 305 in Dade County, right? So I don't know when's the last time you see the Dolphins play. You know, we starting to get to swim, but we ain't been swimming for a while. But a lot of people go to the games, right? So you have the customers that can sit on the 50-yard line, okay, prime time, buy VIP, platinum VIP tickets. And then some people can't afford to sit on the 50-yard line. They have to go to the 400 level. They have a family like 8. Hot dog costs $7, so it's very expensive. So to me, I would love to have all my parties all platinum VIP customers and only and sell out the whole thing platinum VIP. But unfortunately, that can't be done. I have to have general admission. So I'm for a happy medium somewhere, but I'm damn sure ain't against canceling old goddamn cruise ships and not having them at all. I'm not for that, and that's my answer to that. You up to bat, sir?
Well, that some people will not be able to come to cruise ships if you have smaller, more expensive cruise ships. Absolutely, but again, I don't have a Ferrari. I can't afford to go to Paris. That's called capitalism. This is not, to me, disenfranchising people just because they're minorities or because they're colored people or black. This has to do with capitalism, okay? But here's the thing. The gentleman said something about, we were fine before, we'll be fine without them. No, I think that our economy can benefit and bring in more money than it currently does by having the right kind of cruise ships and the right kind of passenger. Why not? They want to come here. They just don't want to come when there's 10,000 people here. So again, you have to market it a little different to get the people to accept that. Let me just make one quick point. You threw the Dolphins out there. One quick point. Okay. So look. In that statistics from 2018, right? The 1 million tourists who came from cruise ships contributed $1 billion to the economy, or 92%. Okay, I can foresee everything going up 5%. I mean, if you were going to eat a $20 entree, would you balk if it was 21? No. If you were renting a room for $400 a night and tell you it's $420? No. So if you extrapolate 5% of that 1 billion, that's $50 million. And the city gets 1.5 that.
You know, it's funny, Tony, and I'm every podcast I learn a lot of stuff, right?
Yeah.
What you say about the hotel? If you're going to come to Key West, you got the greatest deal. How much you going to pay minimum? Even now, the rooms are still not cheap or whatever. What are you going to pay for a room? On average.
For what? If I go somewhere?
No, if you're coming down to
Key West, I'd say $200 to $500 for a room.
So sometimes we do hit that platinum VIP where there's not one room in town, but not all the time, not 365 days. I understand the point that you're making, that basically you get higher end people to come in instead of spending $9 per person. Right. They're liable to spend $29. But the one thing I want to clear up, because I think you've been targeted, as you a lot of times happens with you unfairly, that people think that you basically came and was the one that started it, because there's new people that's coming in the show.
Sure.
So I want to get to these people, that you're the one that basically started the movement to ban cruise ships. First of all, not only did you not start the movement to ban the cruise ships, you're okay with cruise ships. You're just trying to have dialogue and see if we can make it better.
Yeah, and let me make a point. When we talk about raising rates in hotels or raising rates at dinner, right? Look, the year-round occupancy rate for lodging in Key West is 97%.
Wow.
In the wintertime, and 92% off-season.
90.
If you got a 97% in the wintertime here, and you're charging them $400 a night, you can't charge them $420, and that's 5%. If you extrapolate on the $1 billion, that's $50 million. And 1.5% of that goes to the city. And that's money the city can use for whatever they want to, as opposed to the $3.1 million disembarkation fee, which they can only use to offset the impact, blah, blah, blah.
A lot of people coming in. Ricky Khan, shout out to Comcast. That man works hard. Boy, it's hard out there when that cable.
Ricky Khan's my brother.
Yep. Ross makes the money. Yep, Ross gonna get people for sure.
Yeah, Ross
they had a line when it was open the other day.
Ross makes money. Yeah.
Josh checking in. Thank you. Laura checking in. Mike Ash. A gentleman named Ron Bailey. He helped you in the campaign.
I know Ron Bailey is my brother.
Bailey. Yeah, hey, Ron, I told you anything in Stock Island, even do a pandemic, buy everything you can in Stock Island. Let's talk about it. Stock Island is definitely the future. Me and you talked about this in it is really starting to look really good out there. I never thought I'd see the day when tourists walk around maps in Stock Island. How about that?
We got upscale hotels. When I was on the city commission, I floated an idea to annex Stock Island.
That's right.
Make it. The north part is part of the city,
right.
Junior College Road. The south part is not. And back then, now I don't think Stock Islanders want it, but back then they did because there was nowhere else to go. So I think someday there was going to be a huge tax base for the city, and we should have done it.
Can you explain to people who have no idea what annex means?
The city of Key West can make, in this particular case, they could make the south side of Stock Island part of the city of Key West. So they would pay city taxes, and they would be served by city police, et cetera, et cetera. And it just makes you, if annex means you make it a part of. That's basically.
And let me ask you this: would that open a commission seat, or just fall under somebody else?
I don't think it would open a commission seat. I think they would read. Don't get me going on don't get me going, because I'll start with single districts, and that'll be the next time I come if you ever invite me back.
Well, my question is, if that happens, whether they're a new commission seat,
I don't think so,
or you inherit that territory.
Yeah,
I just want to know before, in case it happens, do I have your support for a commission out of Stock Island, Florida?
Sure.
Don't say it because you like me. Just keep it
No. I will. But I think what would happen is you recut the 5 districts, and you add something to Billy and take away something from whatever. So, but yeah, I think Stock Island is a place that's going to be great. That one, I think, just past Cross and Fifth, all them townhouses they built there.
Islander Village.
What is it?
Islander Village.
Islander Village. It's gorgeous.
Beautiful,
it's beautiful.
Ferry Hotel.
Yeah, and you see, it's funny. I take my daughter on there. We do what Cubans call vueltas, which mean going around, right?
Stock Island cross.
Stock Island vuelta. Yeah. And I say, look, this is old Stock Island, a little trailer on the ground, and then new Stock Island, a modular up on 9 foot, and you're seeing that.
That's crazy. Yeah. Listen, all love right now, Tony. Let me tell you something about Tony. Tony is definitely not gonna hold back. He's like me. If there's 9 people in the room and everybody's agreeing, me and him gonna be the 10th person we don't agree.
Right.
And if we have to get in battle wars, guerrilla warfare, the whole 9 yards, we're gonna make it happen. You have to respect that. But a lot of these people, once again, they talk big, but you actually put your hat in it. You made a difference in the city, and I think that you do a lot of good work. And what I told you before, Tony, is that sometimes we can't win them all. You see what I'm saying? We can't get that unanimous vote, or we can't get a 4-3. But I see now, I haven't seen you in a while, that you're more skeptical to basically have people come to the table, listen, and then get to the meats and potatoes. But you're never going to change where you came from, like me or whatever. And if you got to go and knock somebody's head off with your opinion, you'll do it.
You remember a couple of things in the city commission, and the difference between being a community activist and being a city commissioner. When I was a city commissioner, I tried to listen to the views and opinions of as many of my constituents as possible, and also keep in mind the welfare of the city, because that's the problem with single districts. And then I would come to the commission, and I was the voice of my constituency. And quite frankly, there were members of the dais that I guess just didn't want me to be able to express my constituency, and we got into
We're gonna keep it blood raw around here.
Yeah, no, we got into some, some things, but at the end of the day, I think it was a good commission. I think it accomplished things. It was an honor for me. But you know what, Louie, I'm
still fighting right now. We're not even being on the diocese.
Yeah, I don't hold back. I spoke, and if I said I'm voting for yes for the bus benches, you could take that to Las Vegas.
He'll tell you, me and Tony, he knocked my head off, I knock his head off, and then we get over it and we move forward, right?
That's right. But see, being a community activist is that I have no filter. I can say whatever I want.
Right.
People ask me, do you want to be on this board? Do you want to be on that board? Do you want to run for re-election? No. Yeah. I have no filter. I can say whatever I want except one. And that's always, I keep in mind, because some people do tune in to my Facebook and do listen to when I speak publicly, and so I have to keep in mind that what I say has some weight, not a lot, but I have to be careful.
Let's not get into it. You have a huge following,
Well, thank you.
And you like me. I mean, me, I could blend people together, and I've learned to get better at it, right? But at the end of the day, we still gonna have most of the people we fall under, either they love us or they hate us. You know what I'm saying? And we try to be friendly with everybody, but so we don't know how to be fake. We don't have that fake gene.
See, yeah. So you see, so when you're a community activist, I can always say in mind, okay, if I say this, how is this going to, affect the well-being, the quality of life of the community, the economic impact? That you can't just, even though we have no filter, you have to keep that in mind. And
Right.
I'll tell you a great saying that a good friend of mine told me one night when I got elected, and I got really disappointed because you have to have real tough skin because some people are really coming after me hard. And he said to me, he says, when you do something, he says, the people that love you more.
Yeah.
And the people that hate you more. And he said, you know what? There's 1 billion Chinese, don't give a damn either way. That's not racist. That's a quote. That was a quote. And at the end of the day, you do what you do, and you respond to your constituency and to your conscience.
It's hard.
You also have to reply to your conscience. You can't,
half of the people gonna be happy, half of the people gonna be upset with your vote. It's
Yeah.
just part of being there. But I admire anybody who's up there because they don't do it for the money. That's for sure. How many man hours you put on there? You working your whole day, 24/7, 365.
I've been a community activist for a long time, and when I decided to run for office, I got to tell you, we used to get paid $8,500. I didn't know. When I ran for office, I did
So
not
you didn't even know how much
There
you got
was
paid.
when they said, you don't. I said, for what? They go, for your salary. What's that? So now it's like $25,000. Look, I really think that more people should run for office. Everybody's doing a great job. I think that you have to have a happy medium. If you start paying them $100,000, you're going to get pro gunslingers. You don't want that. Right. But I think you got to pay them $35,000, $40,000, man. I used to put in an extra 30 some hours a week, reading the material, meeting with people, meeting with constituents, meeting with city officials. It's pretty tough.
I'm gonna tell you, and the first thing I want to say too is God bless that they passed this now for teachers. With the 500 million coming into Florida with Ron DeSantis. Yeah. But I'm gonna tell you what my man said. One of my mentors, good old Bill Spotswood, that boy is real serious. We used to be at 10 cents an hour on sports for coaching. Now I think we're about 5 cents. Yeah. And the commissioner and the mayor, you ain't too far behind because there's a lot of work there. You don't get no time off. Yeah. Every other minute when you try to relax, something happened in the city, they're blowing your phone off. There's a lot of work there. So respect the fact that somebody put in for that job. And, you can't always be criticizing stuff. Learn how to get people and work together. That's the whole key. I think if the country could work together and somebody could work together somewhere, we'll be a lot better off. Which brings me to my next point on Duval Street.
Nice segue.
You like that?
Yeah, I love that.
Learn it from the best. You're the man.
No, you're the man.
So listen, unfortunately, a lot of storefronts shut down all over. I think today they had a thing that says 160 people either transferred the electric to their landlords or are no longer in business. That's a huge amount. Do you think the city of Key West, if we're going in this route, is on the verge of collapse for the tourism industry?
I think that the whole country is about to collapse economically, to be honest with you. And I think Key West is just part of that. I mean, we're a microcosm of the rest of the nation, maybe the rest of the world. I think as long as we can continue to have tourists coming for something, we could barely stay afloat. We're going to be right here. But, bars are shut down and concerts are shut down and Fantasy Fest probably ain't going to happen, and 4th of July is not going to, and mini season's not going to happen. So, and now, they closed bars and now restaurants. So I think we're in a huge economic crisis in Key West.
It's very scary time. Now, what I will say is, on everything that happens in the world, you have to stay positive. So, positive thoughts, but it's a lot of people out there, hurting. And I feel for everybody because, the people that say, oh, okay, well, just go ahead and shut the whole thing down. My question I've been asking when they say that, okay, well, we'll shut the whole thing down. How about at the same time when they shut the whole thing down, nobody could come in, they shut your paycheck down too, see how you feel. Would you still have the same opinion?
Sure.
And I guarantee you all of them won't have the same, most of them not going to have that same opinion.
Look, it's the true definition of a conundrum. And that is, we have a pandemic, which is deadly, and we have an economic situation, which is deadly.
So we're in a perfect storm, basically.
We're in a perfect storm. And again, human beings are social animals, so you have that an additional stumbling block. I will say this about Key West and tourism, though. I'm very confident of this. whether, you know, our economy collapses, the United States, the world, whatever, people that come to Key West make it a habit of coming and staying longer all the time. And so I think the day we reopen, if we have to shut down, Key West is perfect. We are a perfect island in the Caribbean, almost, in the United States. It's as close as you can become to being part of the country, and yet being, you know, 100 miles from Homestead, 125 miles. Sure. People are going to come.
I always say that, you know, when you look on the map, they say Miami's the bottom. I said, I beg to differ, because if you look on that map, we're in the southernmost point in the United States, 90 miles from Cuba, and we kind of part of the United States, but it don't feel a lot of times like we are. So this is a privilege to live down here, and I just want to get back to the one human family. But under these times, it's tough. And speaking about the one human family, Tony, we're going to take some more questions. They must have heard you was coming, because this thing is rapid fire, 100 miles and running. The political climate, locally and nationwide, is critical, and 2020 is very hot. I mean, what do you think out here with the election? I think this is the biggest election of our lifetime coming up, both locally and nation. How you feel about political climate?
Where do you want to start? Federal? Let's start federal.
Let's do it.
Here's my biggest issue. In the last federal election, the voter turnout was 46%. Really? That is humiliating and embarrassing. People all over the world get blown up, get beat up just to get their finger with the blue ink. Yeah, I voted. And we can't get up off our asses to go and vote. 46%.
I didn't know that. Wow.
You know, and it makes a huge difference. I got to meet Doug Jones, who beat Roy Moore. He's running now again in Alabama. A moderate Democrat beat a long-term Republican. So how'd you do it? He said, I won in Birmingham, and in Birmingham, the turnout by women and people of color was 97%.
Wow.
I'm going to tell you who's going to be in the White House in November.
Please do.
If we get a 60% turnout, it'll be Joe Biden. If we get less than 50%, it'll be Mr. Trump.
Gotcha.
That's the way I look at it. I'm a liberal Democrat. I support Joe Biden. Quite frankly, and I don't hope to upset anybody. So with all due respect, I'd vote for a ham sandwich before I voted for Donald Trump. So
fair enough.
So that's that. But talking about, you know, state and stuff. Well, let's get down to the meat of the coconut, because I know that's what you're asking.
Meats and potatoes.
That's what you're asking. You know, you got Billy running for re-election. Billy's strong. Billy's been there a long time. A lot of knowledge. I don't see him having an issue. Clayton has Dr. Ryan running against him, and John Smith, I guess. Clayton's been a long time, but I think Clayton's going to have a race. I really do.
Yeah. Got to run like the underdog always, you know that.
And then let's talk about what we want to talk about, and this the mayoral race. You know, I was on the city commission with Terry Johnson. Her and I fought like cats and dogs, because neither one of us, when we were supporting our constituents, neither one of us would stop making our constituency's point. And we fought, and we were still friends. I love her dearly. I was a big supporter when she ran for mayor. I think that Terry has a lot on her plate. I think overall Terry's done a very, very good job. And I'm supporting her for mayor. I mean, the sign's at my house. I know Mark Rossi. I know Mark Rossi when Mark Rossi was thin.
Gotcha.
Okay, and I love him, and I'd give him a kidney. My issue with Mark is simply this: Mark doesn't want to make any changes on Duval Street. And I'm not talking pedestrian mall. I'm talking about EDSA architecture. We paid almost $200,000 for the study, and what you do is you rip out the sidewalks and the curbs and you brick it. That's it. It's still a car thoroughfare, but it changes the dynamics. He doesn't want to do anything. He wants to keep it as is. He told me that. And the second thing is, again, and if I'm wrong, Mark, and you're listening, correct me, but I think that Mark wants to maintain cruise ships the status quo. And I understand it's part of his business. Now, as far as Rich Haskins, to be honest with you, I had already told Terry she had my vote when all of a sudden he decided to run. I like Rich. He's a great Conk family, but and I'm wondering if he's the spoiler in the race or what that was about. But I support Terry.
You know, like we said, we have to agree to disagree.
Yeah.
So I'm full-fledged, 1,000,000% behind Mark Rossi. Right. I have the utmost respect for Terry. Right. Matter of fact, I supported Terry, helped her in her last election. My problem with Terry is that if you are a commissioner and you're getting paid peanuts, okay, you have a system where you have, the majority rule. Now with COVID-19, that hasn't changed, right? The majority still rules.
Right.
When you start making decisions by yourself and not having the other people's input over and over and over, it starts to be a problem for me. The last one being with the beach, which I watched the meeting. I know how meetings run. And I had no problem with 22 minutes, 24 minutes of fireworks. I mean, that's going to be the most people at one time watching an event. They said that's not good. So I don't have a problem with it. What I have a problem is I don't make decisions on what Miami and Broward do. Because Miami and Broward landscape is 1 million square footage here with 2x3. And I really think that this weekend, I'm telling you, I'm down there, Fantasy Fest, Bike Week and Spring Break. That's how it's going to look downtown, because if people are still coming out, if they stop the border, then that's one thing. But you agree that people are still coming, and they're going to be closer together, therefore putting the community more at risk, because you can't separate them people. If you go to Smeller's Beach and you be on one side, I'll be on the other side. I've never seen you the whole time of July 4th or whatever. And then when that came up, as you know, you could amend a resolution out there. She didn't allow it, and if she called the goddamn road, it would have been 5-2 against her. And then they disguised that the beaches are closed on the city of Key West, and not the city of Key West, it was her. So therefore, that not only that one thing, not having the majority rule is a problem for me. Therefore, I'm supporting Rossi, and that's my statement.
I understand that, and I respect that. I will tell you that I don't know how those decisions came about. I believe what you're saying to me. I know the mayor has some executive powers in case of an emergency. I don't know if that was the case, so I can't speak to it. But I will tell you, when I was on the commission, I was a big supporter of. It's not only the mayor that makes the decisions. I think you know that. So again, I don't know how that came about with Terry. Let me say this. Let me say this. What I've seen with the COVID is that when you start opening things up, some places work, some places don't.
Right.
Now, I've been to every 4th of July when we had Camp Cajones out where they built La Brisa back in the day, in the early 70s. So I've been to every one for 50 years. If I recall those crowds for 4th of July, there's no way you're going to keep social distancing. No way in God's green earth that you're going to keep people 6 feet apart. Now, so what do? I had a good friend of mine, shout out, I don't know if he's watching you, but Big Tuna, Jimmy Haight. And he said to me, look, why don't you call the mayor and tell her to do the fireworks off of Mount Rushmore, and we'll all watch them from our houses. And I thought, that's great, man, that's a great idea. So again, I don't know how that went down, and I understand that. I do know when I worked with Terry, she was always willing to listen. When I was on the commission, she was always listening to my side, and we disagree half the time. Even now, when I'll have an issue or whatever, and I'll come in, but I understand.
You gotta agree to disagree. I respect the lady.
Sure.
And I think she does a great job. She comes prepared for meetings. She knows the stuff, and she's a straight shooter. If she doesn't like something, she'll tell you where she's at.
Sure.
And that's basically, but where she lost me was with the majority ruling, and that's where I'm at. But both, I think we could agree that we damn sure better get some people to vote, because basically that's a disgrace when you don't have that percentage of people that can vote, because they talk big. How many people say they're going to vote and don't even go around the box on election day? So it's very important, and I'm trying to work with the supervisory election to get up to 85%, and some people are not going to go to precincts. So this advanced voting and the absentee is going to be critical to the election. Let's take some questions, Denise, or statements, whatever you got next.
Are you Superman's girlfriend?
I am.
Yeah.
So we have Richard Guzman saying, gotta give Haskins his due, only local running. Bill Francis saying, flights are full from Tampa, Silver Airways.
Okay. Let me see who
Bill
else.
Bill Francis is one of those conservative right-wing guys that I really have a lot of respect. We just recently met, but we instantly became friends, and it's somebody that we could sit around and have a couple of cocktails and agree to disagree. So a shout out to Bill.
Okay. Billy Roberts checking in. Let me see who else we got. John Osborne, Dara Nolan, Renee. Mask, where's your mask, Tony? You got a mask? Look, mask right here.
We have the
the podcast is tough in this environment. Here, Camila checking in. Renee, how you doing? Bill Francis, we just talked to him. Small cruise ships, okay. James Martin, Teresa, wow. Michelle Shields, keep the conversation going for a stronger community. I like that. Bill, you guys need a little peeler rum. Okay. You know, you talk about rum, let's get to it. Cuba.
Okay. So, you know, I haven't been born in Cuba and spent the first 10 years in my life in Miami. Came down here in 1970. I loved the Key West immediately, of course, and started researching the Cuba-Key West connection. And for those almost 50 years, 45 years, I have been trying to reconnect the two islands historically and culturally. It has nothing to do with the politics. And so I tell my detractors, well, you know, Cuba's coming. So I said, look, if you read the history of Cuba and the history of Key West, you can't separate them. They're one and the same.
Cousins.
I mean, for real. And you know, you go to Cuba like I've done, and all you have to do is say you're from Key West. It's like magic. Everything happens when you're from Key West. And by the way, I was in some conversations when I was down there. You know, don't tell them, they think I'm somebody. I had to go to Havana's 500th anniversary and got a chance to meet with President Diaz-Canel again. It's really funny because I met him in New York 2 years early. And when I said Key West in New York and I gave him a coin, he hugged me. He said, I want to go to Key West. It's been my life's dream. That's every Cuban. Every Cuban wants to come here. So I got to meet him again at the 500th anniversary, and he goes, Cayo Hueso, no empiece. Don't start, he told me. But I got to talk to some people there, and they were looking for a place to put the 90-mile to Key West marker. Oh. There's a neighborhood in Havana called Key West. Our histories are one and absolutely. And so one more point on that. So Diana Nyad, who became a dear friend, was a commissioner, and I had a couple of cops with me trying to make sure nobody touched her before she got on dry land, because it would avoid it. Right. And so afterwards, that helped her out, put her in an ambulance and all that. Next day, I got to meet with her, and I said, look, I've been trying to repair the bridges between Cuba. Right. Will you help me? And she looked at me and she says, why the hell do you think I swam 106 miles? And I said, 90. She goes, no, 90 nautical miles. It was 106. So, she's a big supporter. You know, a year ago, I brought Cuba's ambassador to D.C. down here. First time that they had a Cuban dignitary on an official visit to Key West since 1961. Mayor Johnston prepared a proclamation, Sister Islands. We exchange flags. I think you can put the politics aside and realize that you can't separate the two of us. It's 90. Think of the days before they had the highway or the train. You either had to go 90 miles once you get past the reef, open water, or you had to go up to Miami or Homestead or Naples on the other side through dangerous reefs.
Were your parents born in Cuba?
Yeah, they were born in Cuba.
What part?
In Havana. My parents were born in Havana.
My mom, Pinar del Rio.
Yeah, there's some Pinar del Rio is where I go to get the cigars.
Hey, shout out to people. If you could tune in from Cuba, come on in. Yeah. Get notifications right here. Those of y'all watching on YouTube, hit the subscribe button. Denise Lane on the production, doing an excellent job. Yeah. Tony, want to take a couple more questions?
Yeah, real quick. John Ferral, mi primo, my cousin in Cuba. He gets on Facebook. I hope he's watching this, and I hope he's doing well. A lot of love to him and his family.
Imagine what they're going through over there. I haven't really heard a lot of stuff with the COVID over there.
They're really struggling, and not to get into politics, but what small country anywhere in the world can withstand an almost 60-year U.S. embargo? It's again, I don't want to get into that, but
and with the COVID going. We're struggling.
Yeah,
imagine how it is over there.
It's really bad over there.
Denise, anything? I seen Jose came back with something. You see him there? Jose had a statement.
Let's see. And Michael, my apologies for the Michelle. I'm sorry, blind. Okay. Hence the glasses.
Michael Shields.
Oh, okay.
My boy.
So you see, I see. Right below Bill Francis, you want me to read that one, or you got it?
I have either Andy Garcia or John Cicada coming. Tony, need to get the Cuba rum connection.
Okay.
Who was that?
Oh, and here's a good one.
Who was that?
That is going to be Bill Francis.
Oh, of course.
And then we've got Armani Garcia saying, let's start the ferry to Cuba again.
Oh, yeah. We could talk a little bit about the ferry. You know, when and again, not to get into the politics, but you kind of have to draw a conclusion here. When Obama eased the restrictions, in order to end the embargo, it's an act of Congress, but when he eased the restrictions, I went to Cuba, a year later, and there was nothing there. I mean, I walked in the stores and the shelves were 20% filled. It was mostly rum. Went back 2 years later and I couldn't believe it. When things opened up, flow started going there, and of course, I was approached by 3 or 4 different entities regarding the ferry boats. With today's technology, they'd be a dream to have, and Cuba wants them. And quite frankly, the U.S. wants them too. But when the policy changed, I will tell you that I went on a business venture down to Cuba to look at a marina. We had some investors that wanted to spend something like $100 million to go in partnership with Cuba, but then when the White House changed, let's put it that way, that changed as well. So the ferry, all it's going to take is the day that the policy towards Cuba changes, we're ready to go. When Jose Cabañas, the ambassador, came here, we had lunch with the mayor and some of the commissioners, and Mayor Johnson said, you know, Ambassador, when Cuba opens up, and she said, Madam Mayor, with all due respect, Cuba's open. Cuba's open to every country in the world. The United States doesn't want to partake. And from a business perspective, France, Turkey, China, Greece, Brazil, all these countries are building hotels and they're building restaurants and they're building things because it's a great business opportunity. But I really think that the ferry boat is it's there. There's plenty of ferry companies that got the boats. Quite frankly, I don't know if it's feasible to have them come out of Key West or out of Marathon, but that's another.
Well, what I realize here, Tony, is that me and you and the participation that we got out here today is incredible. So all love for the people tuning in. I think we're going to have you on a part 2 because it's impossible for us to cover everything. And you know, every day there's something new, and I think that we could bring you on here probably regularly and basically talk about what's really going on. We're going to call it the meats and potatoes with Tony Yaniz. Go ahead and hit me with any other questions. And then I want to make sure I try to get everybody in. If you have that one question.
So we've got Jose saying stock market up, military strong, ISIS eliminated, China finally doing fair trade, and the little North Korea not pushing the button as often as when Obama was in office. Leave the businessman alone and let him continue to make America great again and the superpower we are that we haven't been since the Democratic was in office.
Wow.
Period.
Okay.
We've got a comment.
Thank you, Jose, for your
Jose
insight.
been on us the whole time. He's been with us the whole time.
That's fine. I'm not going to get into that. That's ridiculous.
We've got someone saying, yes, have Tony on once a week.
Okay. Who said that?
Mr. Bill.
Okay, Bill. Okay.
All right. Let's see.
Beaches should be open.
Beaches
Bill said
should
he
be
agrees with
open.
me. Yeah. All right, I got it from here. Bill, thank you, Bill, so much for your input. And let's see, Greg, thank you for checking in. Michael Shields, thank you. Let me see who else we got. Amari, Tom Sawyer, Cayo Hueso, Havana. Okay, let's see who else we got. Great podcast, Louie. Listen, it's not me, it's you guys coming in here because every time I come in here, Tony will tell you. I mean, Tony know me when I was all the way reckless. He taught me, to be honest with you. And now we all come a long way. So I learned a lot. I learned to listen to people because I don't know all the answers. And when you have people that bring something to the table, the best thing I learned how to do is shut my mouth, listen, and pick up knowledge because knowledge is power. And I appreciate you coming out here, Tony. Let me see. I mean, these some guns still.
Well, you're jumping in there. I just want to shout out to Bill Lay from La Trattoria.
Oh, he was there?
Bill, but he'll get this from somebody. Bill Lay has asked me if I would sit with him and some people and exchange some ideas. The referendum's already in place, but I still want to open that door. I want to sit with Bill. Sam Kaufman is doing a community meeting on July 15th at City Hall. That's going to be everybody getting 3 minutes, and I know how that'll. Shout out to Sam, thank you, but I know how that's going to end up.
Look, you got another fan there. Can you read that one? Can you see that one?
Josue Black.
What Jose said?
Tony Fat, once a week.
Yeah. Okay.
So.
Oh, look, hold on. Now we're about the Chris Valdez. You know that character, 1996.
Of course.
Conk Republic. That's what we've been talking. Hey, Chris, thank you. I know you sent me a text the other day, man. This thing has been crazy. I'm gonna get back to you, Jose. Thank you. Let me see what else we got. So, thank you all for coming on the podcast.
Thank you for having me.
I'm gonna let you conclude with everything you want, and then I'm gonna wrap it up. But this has been very good, and I'll be honest with you, we could go out here for another 2 hours if we wanted to. But go ahead, you got the last word.
Just saying this: the reason we have survived as a community for centuries is that at the end of the day, we are one family. We take care of each other. We don't care if the neighbor is black and white or gay or straight or man or woman. We don't care, because when the storms come, figuratively and literally, you have to rely on your neighbors. And so my conclusion is that regardless of what happens with this issue or many others, let's at least make a promise to keep an open mind, to listen to each other, and to give each other the time to be a stakeholder regarding the issues they're involved with. Because otherwise, you end up polarizing, and in a small community, more storms will come, and you need to be together. And whoever gets elected will have my full support. And
it's a tough job, and all I got to say,
I'm sure Mark will forgive me.
Listen, it is what it is. I just ask that you vote. That's all I'm saying.
Amen.
And what Tony said is basically, to get to the meats and potatoes of it, be part of the solution and not the problem.
Amen.
Let's work together. We got to meet halfway. Louie C The MaYor on the podcast. We're here Monday through Friday, 6:45. Shout out to FloridaKeysEnergy.com. If you get in an accident in a bicycle, moped, or car, FloridaKeysEnergy.com. Them local boys at 302 Southern Street going to take care of you. And Advanced Urgent Care, Key West Marathon, and Key Largo. Make sure you get your COVID-19 testing. It's free, and they overwhelm over there, so it's really serious. And I think everybody should get tested, because now is the time. Have a great day. Stay out of trouble. And like the young blood said, don't start no stuff. It ain't going to be none. Holla!